How's it going, everybody? This is Bash here, bringing you this presentation of the Analyst podcast, CFB Analyst, as we are going to go through different results of the fan vote and the takeaways I have so far during media days, which, media days, no real shockers. I was a little bit surprised to see Lincoln Riley yesterday go up on the podium and say that I'm losing my train of thought already. All right, let me focus. So I was surprised that Lincoln Riley went on the podium yesterday to say that Kyler Murray has not won a QB battle yet, and he's in a heated QB battle. I'm assuming with Austin Kendall. I don't think he made that clear. I can't remember him making that clear, but I'm assuming it's with Austin Kendall from Oklahoma, which, to me is rather interesting because everyone's just given it as a given that Kyler Murray was going to be the starting quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners this season. Outside of that, though, there hasn't really been much. The competition with Terry Wilson and Gunnar Hoke at Kentucky is kind of heating up. And, I really like Gunnar Hoke. We may have to see if he's going to be able to get in there and start over Wilson. Wilson, the transfer, of course. People are really liking him. Waiting that 5 days until kick, guys. Very interesting to see how these 45 days are going to go and see if any news breaks. So I made this list of 10 players. I just listen now in no specific order of 10 players that you may not have heard of. And this is going to simply be a list of players that I just believe aren't household names and are good players that can make a lot happen. Maybe smaller schools. There's one Power 5 school mentioned. That's because everyone sleeps on the school and they probably have not heard of them if they don't follow recruiting in depth. So here we go. The first guy I'm going to mention is going to be Nathan Rourke from Ohio. This guy, I watched some film on him just yesterday. And this guy has innate ability. He runs like Jordan Lynch. He may be more agile than Jordan Lynch, and he's got a similar arm to Jordan Lynch. I am comparing him a lot to Jordan Lynch from Northern Illinois from a few years ago, but bigger and stronger. That's what Nathan Rourke is. Cato Nelson from Akron, another young quarterback to watch out for. Just like Rourke was a freshman last year going into their sophomore season. It'll be interesting what Nelson's able to do. Jordan Love from Utah State, the quarterback who stepped in for Kent Myers last year when Kent Myers went down. He played pretty good, too, under all the heat and pressure. It'll be interesting to see how he can do. Tyree Jackson from Buffalo, he's a big guy, a monster, athletic guy, has a great arm, and possibly an NFL prospect to watch for. Tyree Jackson from Buffalo, really good player, at least in my eyes. Aaron Worthman from Air Force, and this guy runs that triple option to perfection out there in Colorado. As he, he's able to have the innate ability to break out of tackles, and it's probably going to be end up similar to some of these other the military academy quarterbacks that we've had with Keenan Reynolds and Ahmad Bradshaw lately. Armani Rogers from UNLV is another guy you got to keep an eye on now. He was a 4-star recruit out of high school, but you might not have heard of him if you're not a huge follower of recruit. There's one of the two people. I'm going to mention. But Rogers has great size, a great arm, and last year just had a lot of raw talent as a freshman, but got a lot of exposure. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. Stephen Calvert from Liberty. Really like this guy. Really liked what he did against the Baylor Bears. We saw him do it in their biggest game of the year last year. It'll be interesting to see if he can carry Liberty to possibly a bowl game. Their schedule is not, too impossible to get in a bowl game. Artur Sitkowski from Rutgers is the other guy. He probably will be thrown into the ring this year. I really like Sitkowski. I really think he's a solid, good QB that Rutgers picked up, and that's exactly what Rutgers needs because they are it is really a struggle out there, but Artur Sitkowski is what Rutgers needs right now. Jonathan Banks from Tulane, another guy, a quick, speedy quarterback that you just got to keep an eye on. That's all I'm going to say about him is you got to keep an eye on him playing. Tulane was sneaky good last year. I think they made a bowl game. They did not do too bad. You will see him under the spotlight against Ohio State this year. I believe you saw him last year against Oklahoma, I believe. So it'll be interesting. And finally, Brent Stockstill from Middle Tennessee. I'm thinking Brent Stockstill is the most recognized name, maybe Armani Rogers, but Brent Stockstill on this list, maybe the most recognized name. Middle Tennessee has been good for a couple of years, and the catalyst to that being good has been Brent Stockstill working with Richie James, the wide receiver at Middle Tennessee. It'll be interesting to see what he can do after the departure of Richie James. So that's my list right there. Others that were mentioned in the comments, Marcus McMaryion from Fresno State. I feel like he did get a lot of attention after what he did a season ago at Fresno State. For that, I did not put him on this list. Worthman is good. Air Force should be better this year. Also, Navy's QB number 10. I forgot his name. So this guy forgot his name, of course. And it was Malcolm Perry. Just letting you know that. I really like Malcolm Perry, too. The problem is, he was a true freshman last year when he stepped into the helm for Zach Abey. And we didn't get too much with him. He did pretty well, but it'd be interesting to see. Headlines, Bleacher Report is naming Ochocinco's son as the next college football star. Chad Jr. says Alabama wants him, and he says he will back it up. Clemson, not Alabama, is number one according to the FBI. And hey, look, I got no problem with this because I've been saying from the beginning that there are 4 teams to me that absolutely do not have questions. Those 4 teams are Clemson, Ohio State, Washington, and Auburn. But Auburn's starting to fall off that list specifically because of the fact that Auburn does have some nagging injuries around here, and they got a little bit of questions at wide receiving core. I think they still have a little less questions than Alabama does. But, hey, it'll be very, very interesting to see. But Clemson, number 1 in FPI rankings, not Alabama right now, which I like. I like it when FBI and different rankings do not stick to what the status quo and what the cliche kind of what's trending there. I like that. Etienne is named on the Doak Walker watch list, the Doak Walker Award. And real quick, as we look through the Doak Walker Award watch list, I expect to see 2 Ohio State running backs and like 2 or 3. 2 or 3 probably when it comes to Alabama running back. So, of course, we got Cam Akers, Rodney Anderson, Alex Barnes getting some love, and Eno Benjamin from Arizona State getting some love, Jamar Bogan. I think that dude, Jamar Bogan's really like kind of the last gasp of what was that undefeated Western Michigan team a couple years ago. So that's very interesting. Spencer Brown from UAB, Squally Canada from BYU, Stephen Carr from USC, Matt Colburn from Wake Forest, Damari Crockett from Missouri, J.K. Dobbins, Ohio State, Ian Erickson from Eastern Michigan, Wesley Fields from Georgia Southern, Darren Hall from Pitt, Chase Hayden from Arkansas, Karan Higdon from Michigan, Travis Homer Jr., or Travis Homer, not Jr., that's Jr. right there. That doesn't sound right. From Miami, Patrick Lard from Cal, of course, Bryce Love, Stanford, Alexander Madison, Boise State, Jalen Moore, Appalachian State, Zach Moss, Utah, Emmanuel Reed, Buffalo, LJ Scott, Michigan State, Rodney Smith, Minnesota, DeAndre Swift, Georgia, Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin, Tavares Thomas from Middle Tennessee, DeLeon Ward from Texas Tech, Arius Williams from Mississippi State, Kenny Young from Miami, Ohio, and there's a whole nother list of people. I'm not going to name off everyone, but the names that pop out to me, Darius, and I'm going to still name a lot, but these are the names that I really consider high. Darius Anderson from TCU, Raquel Armstrong from Temple, Tony Brooks James from Oregon, A.J. Dillon, Boston College, Brico Dowdle from South Carolina, Travis Etienne from Clemson, Myles Gaskin, Washington, Damian Harris, Alabama, Darrell Henderson from Memphis, Justice Hill from Oklahoma State, Jeremy Larkin from Northwestern, kind of replacing what was just Jackson, the top rusher in Northwestern history, David Montgomery, Iowa State, Jaquez Patrick, Florida State, Miles Sanders, Penn State, Devin Singletary, Florida State, Benny Snell, Kentucky, J.J. Taylor, Arizona, Lexington Thomas from UNLV, Warren Wand, Arkansas State, DeVal Wally, Arkansas, Travion Williams from Texas A&M. Those are really the notable ones on that side. So I just named off a bunch of names, and you guys are probably not going to remember, but I was just curious about that. Surprised not to see Josh Jacobs there. Joshua Jacobs from Alabama. I see 3 Florida State guys, though. Of course, if you guys are in CFB Universe, I'll be making posts constantly, making sure that you guys get the love you deserve out there in CFB Universe. So yesterday I dropped a poll, and it was about the best conference, and a lopsided victory from the Big Ten. And I was kind of thinking that the SEC would get some love. They got the second most love, but they did not get as much love as I thought. The Big Ten's carried the cake 29-16 for the SEC, 11 for the Big 12, and 2 for the ACC, 0 for the Pac-12. Very interesting right there. Of course, if you do the math, we are somewhere around, I want to say, 52 votes. So that's a pretty decent poll. I've had bigger for sure. There's another poll I dropped a few days ago that I'm going to also cover because I don't think I covered it. So this guy, though, did drop a metric for me, and it was interesting. I made the point, though, that these teams do these whole metrics when you take up all the stats and divide it and then get a final number, and it's just different because I made this point. Pac-12, Big 12, and Big 10 are the three lower conferences in this metrics, led by the Big 12 at 60.83, and it's the lowest number of wins. So the lowest number is the ACC with 57, SEC with 58.45, Big 12 60.83, Big 10 60.88, and Pac-12 60.94. That was last season. And here's why this is flawed, and this is why this is kind of jaded, is because the ACC and SEC, the teams who finish at the top year in and year out. Oh, gosh, excuse me. But anyway, the teams that finish in and year out are from the ACC, correct? And that's what I see on this chart he provided me. The problem with that is ACC and SEC play 2 conference games. Therefore, they got 1 extra game out of conference. Most of them are scheduling cupcakes, essentially. And that's, that's how this gets jaded, because when you play Mercer in November instead of playing another conference game, such as Ohio State playing Illinois or Michigan State or Iowa. I have comparisons, Michigan State and Iowa, but if you give me Illinois versus Mercer, I take Illinois all day. So you're going to tell me that these schedules, which were not at all even from the ACC and SEC, you're going to give me, you're going to tell me that they are better simply because they scheduled 1 weaker game than everyone. And I put it this way. So here's kind of the point I made to this man. I'm not going to get too in-depth with this. And I did my research on this. I made it clear that the SEC and the ACC are only going to play 9 to 10 Power 5 opponents, while the Pac-12, Big 12, and Big 10 play 10, 11, and some even play 12 Power 5 opponents. This includes Notre Dame, by the way. Now, a lot of ACC teams and the ACC is a lot better than the SEC with scheduling. A lot more ACC teams are going to schedule, or at least a couple more, are going to schedule more Power 5 teams than the SEC did. So let's not get this twisted. I'm not saying the ACC doesn't schedule, because they do. And I think ACC, these metrics work for the ACC versus SEC, and the metrics probably work for the Big 10, Big 12, and the Pac-12. Only that's saying the Big 12 is better than Big 10 simply because of their offensive ranking and not their defensive ranking, in which Big 10 carries the cake, and offensive ranking is hurt from the Big 10 for having extra teams such as Rutgers and Illinois this past year. So, after doing my research, the Big 12, not the Big 12. Actually, yeah, no. I think I ended up doing the Big 12. Okay. More teams in the Big 12 play 10 plus Power 5 opponents than SEC teams do. Or ACC. I put that in there. Did not verify it, but I did put that in there because I believe that is true. 9 of the 10 teams in the Big 12 played 10 or more Power 5 opponents. That is 90% of your conference plays 10 Power 5 opponents. The SEC, however, had 4 teams play 10 or more Power 5 opponents. That is 28.5% of the conference. 28.57% of the SEC play 10 or more Power 5 opponents, which to me doesn't sit well with me, you know? You're telling me that this Big 12 has to play 10 teams that, whether you like it or not, are going to give you at least more of a physical battle than these weaker teams. So when Alabama, you play Fresno State, Colorado State, and specifically Mercer, when South Carolina plays, Clemson plays the Citadel. Got problems with that. And another interesting tidbit there in the regular season and postseason, so not including bowl games, but including conference championships. Because if you just include bowl games, just add one to every team essentially that are bowl eligible. And then you'd have a lot more 11 plus in the Big 12. But anyway, so what I was trying to say. 3 teams in the Big 12, Oklahoma, TCU, and Texas, played 11 Power 5 opponents this past year. 2 teams played 11 Power 5 opponents this past year, and that was Auburn, I believe, and Georgia. It might not have been Georgia. It might have only been one, actually. I might have made a mistake. I can't think of who else it would have been because Auburn only played Clemson and didn't play another Power 5. So that's the interesting tidbit I kind of had to point out. 1 or 2, I think. I can't remember. Will Grier prepared for Heisman Trophy campaign, which starts with his opener against Tennessee. A lot of people are saying he's not that good. He's not going to be Heisman good. I don't think he will be a Heisman contender, a true Heisman contender when it comes to November, just because of the system he plays under. And that's really all you got to look at there. The system you play under. And that's the big thing there. This is interesting. Since early 2006, I think this is telling me against the spread, since early 2006 season, Michigan against the spread is 4-12 on the road in top 25 matchups, in ranked matchups, or matchups against ranked teams, to say. Is this matchups against ranked teams or ranked matchups? No, because 2014, 2015 would have been. That's not on the road. Duh. All right. So anyway, against the spread, Michigan is 4-12. Straight up, they are 0-16 on the road. Ohio State in 2006, they lost that game. Did, however, cover the spread. All right, so that's not that bad. At Penn State, spread was plus 24, and they still lost by, I believe that is 29 points, 17-46. Still lost. At Ohio State, 42-7, 2008. At Iowa, 30-28. They did cover the spread, plus 8. So they have lost 16 games. So the opponents they have lost to: 2006 Ohio State, 2008 Penn State, Ohio State, 2009 Iowa and Wisconsin, 2010 Ohio State, 2011 Michigan State, 2012 Notre Dame, 2012 also Ohio State, 2013 Michigan State, 2014 Notre Dame and Michigan State, 2000 and Ohio State, 2016 Ohio State, 2017 Penn State and Wisconsin. So that is an interesting fact I did not know. And Michigan's definitely got to tighten it up out there in Ann Arbor to really get something going. They got to beat Ohio State, and they're going on the road, which, past history tells me they may not win. I don't know. All right, I'm just checking for any other news. Other big news is Jake Fromm kind of favored a little bit in my eyes from Kirby Smart when he was talking about Jake Fromm versus Justin Fields. He did say Justin Fields is going to be able to compete, but he did not say per se that Fields was really in much of a competition, and it didn't really seem like he was in much of a competition with Jake Fromm. Very interesting there. Michigan returns one of the best defenses in the country, led by the man in the middle, Devin Bush Jr. In his first season as a starter, he earned All-American honors was a Butkus Award finalist. And Devin Bush Jr. and also add on Rashawn Gary, and you got yourself a really good defense. Win total for Oklahoma, 10. Yes or no? I go no. I think they have a lower record than 10-2. I really don't know how much I like Lincoln Riley as a head coach, and his situational play calling last year did make me a little bit concerned in the situation in that Rose Bowl game. Kind of, you're up. Just how that Rose Bowl game transpired, you're up 17 right before the half, then you botch a squib kick. Why not kick it deep? This kicker can kick it through the end zone and allow too many kick return yards. Why not kick it deep? The risk is very minimal. So if you got a kicker that can kick it through the end zone, go ahead and do so. Don't squib it. And he squibbed it, botched squib, was able to run a play, got 1 second left, and Georgia hit a field goal. That made a huge difference in the game. And then also, overtime, we saw a couple of near side speed options with guys you probably never heard of. So I don't think there's really going to be anything else I got to cover. I believe I had another poll, but I don't see one. Here's a poll to look at. Which QB will be on fire? Ooh. This poll is cheated strong. The QB to be on fire out of these four: Tua Tagovailoa, Kelly Bryant, DeAndre Francois, and Felipe Franks. DeAndre Francois is second with 5 votes. Kelly Bryant is third with 4 votes, and Felipe Franks has 0 votes. Tua Tagovailoa has 27 votes. 27. He has 27 votes out of 36. That is pretty good. Here's the thing, though, people. Tua still hasn't done too much. Let's not go crazy. We're going to play a little bit of a game. Start one, bench one, cut one. You got to start one, you got to bench one, and you got to cut one. That's simple. Quarterbacks from the SEC: Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton. I start Cam Newton, I bench Tim Tebow, and I cut Johnny Manziel. The reason I start Cam Newton is because his athleticism, his arm, and his ability to make plays that single season was outstanding for Cameron Newton. in the Auburn Tigers. And Tebow did a lot in the running game. Had a throwing motion that was a little bit weird, different. And Johnny Manziel, I really don't think much of Johnny Manziel. A lot of people do. I disagree. I think Johnny Manziel is an overrated quarterback of all time. Took advantage of a weak year for the Heisman, and honestly, just not that great of a pure quarterback, but a great athlete playing quarterback and an athletic guy who can make tremendous plays happen, but he couldn't make the Heisman stats and the Heisman. To me, it makes a Heisman type plays that were needed, and we haven't had that for a few years. We had that with Robert Griffin III too. Didn't he had that game against Oklahoma, but he really didn't do much outside of that in terms. But I think that won him the Heisman was that game against Oklahoma. News: Ohio State football. Former defensive end Mike Kudla dies at age 34. Mike Kudla was the defensive most valuable player in 2005 in the Big Ten, all Big Ten defensive end. He'll be missed throughout the Ohio State community. And I believe I saw something about it being related to CTE and different things like that. So rest in peace to Mike Kudla. And I think that's going to cover everything. I've not seen anything that I want to go into. All right. So that will end today if I don't come across a poll that I made. Let's see, maybe this is okay. All right. So that'll do it for today. Thank you guys for tuning into this podcast. I am really sorry you're kind of not feeling well, not too focused, but I haven't done a podcast in a couple of days. I'll be back online tomorrow, and I'll see you guys later.